is Tina Dillard with Quilting Affection Designs, and welcome to week 2 of the April Showers Mystery Quilt. Today I'll be showing you how to make these fun raindrops. The raindrops are a combination of the corner beam unit and placed inside a square in the square unit. They will measure 4.5 unfinished, and you'll need to make a total of 9 raindrops. To complete your raindrop blocks, you're going to need the Studio 180 Design corner beam and the square tools. So let's get started making raindrops. To make the raindrop blocks, you're going to need the following: a 4-inch by the width of your fabric strip of light blue, 18 3 1/4 light blue squares, 9 4-inch dark blue squares. Please refer to your pattern for cutting instructions. We're going to begin making our corner beam units first. To start out, we'll need to cut the center beam units. You're going to need your 4-inch dark blue squares and the Studio 180 Design corner beam tool. For cutting out our center beam, we're going to take a stack of 3 of the dark blues and we're going to place them on our mat. We are going to then take a corner beam tool and we're going to locate the center beam trim line number 1, which is a dashed line. We're going to place this dashed line on the edge of our square. And we're also going to line up our 3-inch units line. We're going to then make our first cut. We're going to take our rotary cutter, once you have everything lined up, and make your first cut. You're going to then remove that piece, and we're going to now take our corner beam tool and we're going to rotate it just slightly to find our center beam trim line number 2 line, which is a dot dot dashed line. We're going to place this dot dot dash line along that edge that we just cut, and we'll rotate it till we get that lined up. And now we are going to make our second cut. Now you have your center beam unit. You'll need a total of 9 of these, so you'll continue cutting until you get a total of 9. Next, we're going to discuss how to make the side triangles and cut them. Now let's get started with cutting out our side triangles. We're going to take our 4-inch width of the fabric strip of light blue and we're going to place that on our mat with right sides together. We are going to make sure and trim off the ends of our fabric so they're nice and straight. We are then going to take our corner beam unit again and we're going to locate the side triangle trim line number 1, which is our bold line. And it's right above the center beam trim line. So we're going to be using this side triangle trim line number 1 first. We're going to place that line on the edge of our fabric and lining it up also on the 3-inch finish line. Now we are going to go ahead and make our first cut. Once we have everything lined up, make your first cut and cut across the diagonal. Once you have that done, you'll have 2 side triangles. You're going to repeat, but you're going to also turn your ruler 90 degrees. And you're going to find your second trim line, which is this bold line here. It says second trim. We're going to line up our edge of our fabric that we have just cut from on this seam line placement line. So we'll place that on our line and we'll make a second cut. This time we'll be going crossed. Once you have everything lined up, take your rotary cutter and go across. You have a second set. You're going to need to make a total of 18 pairs of the side triangles. Next, we'll be showing you how to assemble the corner beam unit. Okay, we're ready to assemble our corner beam. We have a center beam and 2 side triangles. Our side triangles are on the outside of that center beam. Everything is with the right sides facing us. And we're going to ensure that we have at the very tip of our side triangles is at the very tip of our center beam. And the long ends are at the bottom. We have a biases are facing each other. And we're going to flip our first side triangle over on top of our center beam. Then that center beam, you want to make sure at the very tip you have a little bit of piece hanging over. Doesn't have to be a whole lot because this will be oversized. And then you're going to do a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Once you get that done, you're going to then press it towards the outside. Now we're going to then take our second side triangle and place the right sides together again, and we're going to flip our center beam over so it's facing us. And we're going to line everything up, making sure we have a little tip of side triangle, and then take it back to the sewing machine, and we're going to do a quick 1/4 inch seam allowance, and then we're going to press all open. So now we're ready to do our trimming. We're going to do our first trim with the corner beam tool. You're going to position it so the beam is facing the outside. Now with our center beam, we're going to be using the opposite side we have been using. We're also going to concentrate on, there's an X at the bottom on these 2 lines here, which are our seam line placement lines. We're going to concentrate on putting our tip is at the very top of that, on top of this tip here. We're going to place our seam lines on the seam lines of our unit here. So we're going to place this on top, just like so. We have our point in that point up here, and our seam lines are lining up. Once you have everything lined up, you're going to take your rotary cutter. Here we go. And we're going to go up and across. That is our first cut. We are going to remove our corner beam tool, and we're going to rotate this around so it faces, the bottom faces us. Now we're going to take our corner beam tool and put that to the side. We are going to now turn this unit into the center of our, for our square and a square unit. To turn it into our square and a square unit, we're going to need to use the side that has the center square cutting side, and we're going to place the center square 4 inch on top of our unit with our nice clean edges, just like so. Now you're going to pay attention to, you want to make sure you're on that cutting from 3.5 inch strip line and the center square 4 inch line. Now you're going to see that dashed line right above that. We're going to make sure that our dashed line is at the tip of our square here, and the center of this line here is our center. is in that center line also. We are going to then, I'm going to do this right-handed, cut up and across, ensuring that you get everything cut. And now you have the center for your square and a square unit. Perfect sized. So now we're going to go into cutting our triangles and assembling our square and a square unit. Okay, now let's cut our 3 1/4 inch triangles out. These are going to be for our sides of our square and a square unit. What you're going to do is you're just going to cut down the diagonal. Line your ruler up across the diagonal and do a cut. You're going to make 36 of these. So these are you're going to need to cut 2 for each of your square and a square unit. So your center is now your corner beam unit. What you're going to do is you're going to take to your sewing machine and you're going to flip over and put the right sides together and stitch a 1/4 inch seam allowance, and then repeat on the opposite side. So your unit will look like this when complete. You're going to press towards the outside, and then you're going to rotate that unit, and you're going to place 2 more triangles on the outsides. Then you're going to go ahead and do your 1/4 inch seam allowance on both sides and press open. When we come back, I'll have that done and we'll be ready to cut. Now we've got our square and a square unit all put together. We've got a nice point at the top and it's slightly oversized. So we're going to need to trim this up to 4 1/2 inches. So we're going to take our squared ruler and we're going to use the trim down side. And we're going to find the lines that are marked 4 1/2. And we're also going to pay attention to the 4-inch X lines on our ruler. These lines and dash lines are going to line up in our seam line here. So let's go ahead and place our ruler on top. You're going to place those 4 X's in our seams, just like so. You're going to make sure you're getting really those X's right on those points. We've got this all lined. When you have it all lined up, you're going to go ahead and hold it down, and you're going to take your rotary cutter and you're going to cut up and across. We've got one nice clean edge. We're going to rotate this unit 180 degrees. Now your clean edge is facing you. You're going to place your ruler back down and you're going to place your clean edge on the line that has the 4.5 inch. And you're going to line up your X's again. You're going to make sure you stay nice and clean. And you're going to repeat with your cutting. You're going to go up and across. That's how you complete your 4.5 inch corner beam unit with the square and the square unit. Now we got this complete. You just got to repeat the same process for all 9 of these blocks. Okay, we're going to assemble our rim drop blocks. You're also going to need to cut out 4 1.5 by 4.5 inch rectangles for our second row. So we'll put these to the side and go ahead and assemble our first row. Our first row is just 4 blocks lined up across and sewn together. And we're going to press them towards the center. So when I come back, we'll have that complete and we'll go ahead and start our second row. Okay, we finished row 1. Everything is pressed inside and we're ready to start row 2. So we'll put this to the side. We will be using that in a little bit. Now we're going to take an extra 3 of our raindrops and our rectangles that measure 1.5 by 4.5, and we're going to put those pieces, those rectangles, on the outside of each of our raindrops. We're going to sew those on our raindrops and we're going to press towards the rectangles. That will be for row 2. When we return, I will have this complete and we'll set up for row 3 and we'll be using the umbrella blocks from week 1. Okay, row 2 is now complete. We've pressed everything towards the rectangle units. So we'll put this to the side and we're going to bring our last 2 raindrop blocks out and we're going to put them to the ends like this. And we're going to bring in week 1, row 1 umbrellas. They're going to be 2 individual umbrellas by themselves. So we're going to sew those on the ends of this umbrella unit and we're going to press towards the umbrellas. When we return, we're going to sew all 3 of our units together. Okay, I have completed row 3, pressing everything towards the umbrellas. Now I've gone through and already done row 1 and 2 of the raindrop blocks, sewing those rows together, and I've pressed towards the top of our raindrops. You're going to go ahead and you're going to flip this one over and you're going to pin it in place, ensuring that you have everything matched up on the ends first. And then we're going to take and we're going to find the center of our umbrella unit and our raindrop unit. And we're going to run a pin straight through to find the exact spot. I found that exact spot and I'm going to go ahead and pin in place and then fill in with pins when necessary in between those pins. So that will complete that section when you have completely sewn it with a good 1/4 inch seam allowance and press towards the top. Also, what I want you to do at this point is we're going to lay out our umbrella units at the same time and we're going to sew those together. So our stems of our umbrellas are going to match up with our points here. So we're going to go ahead and flip this one over on top and we're going to line everything up. And pin it together. Now this umbrella unit, the point, we're going to run it through, will match up with this point on the other side with the umbrella handle. And it should nest in the seam right there. So it does. So I'm going to go ahead and pin that in place. And we can go down to the other end and do the same thing as pin in place. And then wherever you feel that you need pins in between, go ahead and do that. Do a 1/4 inch seam allowance and press towards the top of the umbrella units. So when we return, we'll be able to sew those all together and we'll have our first part of our April Showers quilt complete. Okay, I've added the umbrella blocks to the raindrop blocks. I combined the two, added this row to the quilt, the raindrops also, and I pressed everything going towards the top. We have these blocks here that are not attached yet. We're waiting to make some other blocks to go with them in the next couple of weeks. So I want to thank you for joining me as we completed week 2, the raindrop blocks for April Showers Mystery Quilt. I hope you enjoy making these, and be sure to come back next week as we add a new fun block to our quilt.